Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
Welcome back to another edition of Kal's Corner Radio here on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. My name is Kal Korff and I'm your host. The executive producer of the show is the one and only Rob McConnell. Folks, before we get into tonight's show, I wish to apologize for not being on the air last week. That's entirely my fault. Very simple human thing. I had been told my schedule, and by the people who track that stuff, make it. And turns out it was wrong, and I didn't know that till it was too late, and we couldn't come up with another time window to broadcast. Rob is also very busy, so we just punted it. Here I am. Sorry to miss previous week. That was supposed to be episode 1 of the year 2020. And metaphorically speaking, 2020 is a great analogy for seeing things perfectly clear, perfect focus, 2020 vision. I promise you, unless the projects that we're working on that are coming up in days now, in days, literally, are the beginning of a very big course correction to just separate fact from fiction. Enough is enough. So the year of 2020, perfect vision, we're going to expose some key UFO cases, solve them one way or another, and no matter what that verdict is, that final verdict that anybody can independently verify, like all valid facts can be independently confirmed by anybody. Facts don't care about people's opinion. That's what makes them facts. This is really exciting stuff. It doesn't matter who does it. Happens to be Rob and I and some others. But I'm excited that we're finally going to have some answers. All right. Without any further ado now, let's get caught up on some things that have happened over the last few weeks. One of the big international events, of course, was recently a series of hostile actions involving the country of Iran. As the world knows, American President Donald Trump ordered and approved a series of targeted killings that went ahead and eliminated Iran's top terrorist. Okay? And we're going to talk about that. We're going to separate fact from fiction on this. Now, before we start, I want to emphasize that the purpose of Kal's Corner is to cover everything from politics to the paranormal. That's a lot of subjects. While we, of course, never cover all those in one episode, there's an ongoing theme here. I mean, we always do this. We talk about all kinds of stuff because nothing's off limits. Think about politics to the paranormal. In my definition, that's everything in the universe. I'm fascinated by everything I don't know, which is a lot, And my interests are so diverse that I like to share them with you as we discuss about this and, separate fact from fiction, regardless of what the subject is. Now, what we're going to talk about in this episode today is what really happened in Iran, and we're going to prove it. And if anybody doubts this, play this episode. It's going to be archived, it's available for the world. And I will go out on record, let's say on the proverbial limb here, and say that 6 months from now, a year from now, the facts I'm going to disclose to you will not change because they are the truth. Having said that, I remain disgusted over the nonsense on social media and the Democrats saying, oh, this was so bad to kill the world's top terrorist. Oh my God. We'll come back to that throughout the show. All right, let's begin here. Now, what I'm going to do is start this by basically reading excerpts from a full-page special that I wrote and was published in Daily World newspaper, India's largest English language newspaper, has several editions. I've had thousands of articles published over the years, of course, over 10,000 of them. And this is my latest one. It's a full-page special, Separating Fact from Fiction. And the title of it was called Analyzing the USA's Killing of Iran's Top Terrorist, The Inside Details. And this is exactly what I was able to give within 36 hours after the incident went down. And it'll be clear why that was possible to separate fact from fiction when Iran was still lying and denying. It was always obvious they were guilty to anybody with an IQ of over 10 when they said, we didn't shoot it down. And then, of course, they told the truth and said, yeah, it was us, but it was an accident. Yeah. Well, anyway, we'll come back to that. So let's begin. Now, let's start, of course, with the opening of what I had said, which was quoting President Trump, because that sets the stage. Either what Trump said when he made the announcement was either true or it wasn't. We'll separate fact from fiction again by the time this episode is over. All right, let's begin. Here's what President Donald Trump said. As president, my highest and most solemn duty is the defense of our nation and its citizens. Last night, at my direction, the United States military successfully executed a flawless precision strike that killed the number one terrorist anywhere in the world, Qasem Soleimani. So declared American President Donald Trump after the U.S. made an MQ-9 Reaper drone. They launched it and fired 2 missiles on January 2nd, 2020, that obliterated Soleimani and militia members in his 2-car convoy. Now, according to Trump, this terrorist was plotting imminent and sinister attacks on American diplomats and military personnel. Then he says, but we caught him in the act and terminated him. He then says, under my leadership, America's policy is unambiguous. To terrorists who harm or intend to harm any American, we will find you. We will eliminate you. We will always protect our diplomats, service members, all Americans, and our allies. That's a lot of people, folks. For years, Trump said, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and its ruthless Quds Force, he's right about this, under Soleimani's leadership, has targeted, injured, and murdered hundreds of American civilians and servicemen. That is factually correct. He has murdered over 600 Americans. The bodies exist. Then Trump says the recent attacks on U.S. targets in Iraq, including rocket strikes that killed an American and injured 4 American servicemen very badly, as well as a violent assault on our embassy in Baghdad, were carried out at the direction of Soleimani. Soleimani made the death of innocent people his sick passion, contributing to terrorist plots as far away as New Delhi and London. That's what Trump said. And Trump was telling the truth. I will tell you now, and this is a fact, I was in India when the Israeli attaché, when they tried to kill him with a car bomb. I was working for the newspapers there. I wrote about it, reported on it. And this article is a matter of public record, folks. You can find it. It's on my website, or rather Facebook page, which is open to the public. In fact, I wrote a specific editorial for Daily Post magazine or newspaper which was actually an exception. They allowed me to do it because I had a slam dunk open and shut case as a longtime counterterrorism analyst and somebody who follows this stuff. Now, what happened was this. There was a widespread praise for the attempted murder of the Israeli attaché in New Delhi, India. An article was written by a very famous author there, a female, who said that basically this wouldn't be happening if Israel treated the Palestinians better. She had every excuse you can imagine to apologize for an act of terrorism. And I found that disgusting. This writer is a terrorist apologist, and you can quote me. So what happened is I got so upset when the editor of the newspaper ran this story because he liked her, agreed with her, and she's famous. Gee, that's a criteria, right? That I went to the owner and editor-in-chief of the newspaper, Daily Post. His name is Manish Tiwari. He's a friend for life. I'd take a bullet for him. I was also part of his security detail. Did a lot of things. We're very good friends. And he has kept his commitment to me. If I have something that is worthy of publishing, he'll do it. So what happened, and I just spoke to him a few days ago, didn't talk to him about this, but this incident, what Trump said, brought back this memory. I went to Manish Tiwari and I said, sir, this is wrong. I can refute all of this. Then I went back to the editor who hated me and said, we don't do rejoinders. And I said, you have to tell the truth here. You can't let this stand. And then he tells me that he knows what's going on because he's been a longtime journalist. And it went downhill from there. He didn't even know the subject. Well, he ended up getting fired because of the way he was. This incident wasn't the only thing that weighted that decision. So the article was published, the first and only rejoinder to this woman, this apologist for Iran, the Iranian government trying to murder with a car bomb the Israeli attaché in New Delhi, near the embassy. And what happened is the rejoinder was published, and she was just totally creamed because I pointed out that there's no way you can justify an act of terrorism, because terrorism is the systematic, deliberate targeting of innocent people for the purposes of political or social change. Doesn't mean change for the good. It just means we're going to destroy everything you know, everything you love, everything you believe in. That's why the word terrorist exists, to terrorize people. The left-wing liberal media loves to spread the lie that one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. No, that has never been true, because real freedom fighters don't target innocent civilians. But Hamas isn't going to say, hey, yeah, we're terrorists, join us. No, they say, oh, we're part of the resistance. We're freedom fighters, because that sounds better. It's better for their PR. In truth, they're ruthless killers who will kill you, even fellow Muslims, if you don't agree to their particular twisted form of doctrine or Islam that they have. So we're going to take a quick break, then come back and get into this. And we're going to separate fact from fiction and prove that this hit was planned 7 months ago. We'll be right back.
Patty Conklin grew up in Brooktondale, New York with a unique ability. Unlike others, she could see how the vibration of words and emotions affected the physical body. She discovered how to release stored emotion and facilitate healing. This began today's Conklin method of cellular cleansing. The private practice grew with tremendous results, as did her reputation. More and more people sought her out, bringing her into the home for healing. She soon realized she could even teach this to others, and they could shift perception and thus prevent illness from occurring. Patty Conklin quickly became a frequent keynote speaker, and she developed a curriculum for teaching the Conklin method of cellular cleansing. For more information, visit pattyconklin.com, PATTICONKLIN, pattyconklin.com, or call 404 404-0086. That's 404-474-0086.
Mission Evolution is dedicated to the well-being of the planet and animals, as well as the evolution of humankind. One major factor threatening all three is increasing toxicity. Heavy metals and other environmental toxins are poisoning our bodies, deteriorating our brains, blocking our spiritual connection, and shortening our lives. Yet these poisons are extremely difficult to remove. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, and I recently became aware of a product created from the marriage of nature and nanotechnology called Vitality. It's formulated from zoolite, whose crystalline structure binds toxins, gently carrying them out of the body. The light is only as clear as the window through which it shines. Clear your body, shine your light into the world. Visit vitalityhappens.com for a 20% discount. Enter code PATHHOME.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Welcome back to the second segment here on Kal's Corner Radio Show on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. My name is Kal Korff, and I'm your host. The executive producer of the show is Rob McConnell. Yes, folks, I'm fired up. Have been waiting for weeks to do another episode, and of course, a lot of stuff has happened in the world since then, and I am especially passionate about this subject, but I don't let my emotions get in the way of facts and logic where it concerns the issue of terrorism, which is actually driven at the base level by hatred. If you remove hatred out of the equation, there never is terrorism. It's basic logic 101. All right, so back to what Trump said. Again, he was right about the attempted murder in New Delhi, also in London that they cited. Again, I was in India when it happened, and where it happened was in the general diplomatic area that I'm very familiar with, because I would meet CIA officers there, because that's what you do. You meet in secure facilities there. The last meeting I was there before the attempted assassination was with 3 officers. We discussed terrorism, a bunch of other stuff. It was just part of what I have done for years, while once in a while I read on UFO conspiracy nuts and I'm making it all up. Whatever. Anyway, I'll let my published articles speak for themselves. I don't care if anybody believes them or not. They're sourced. You can independently check them. And there's so many people now overseas that have seen me do my thing that it's pathetic that you still have people lying about it who weren't there, weren't involved, don't know anything, and think that James Bond is real. And they just watch too many James Bond movies. So when you don't behave like James Bond, you must be a fraud. It is that stupid, folks. Anyway, back to the relevant stuff, what happened with Iran. Trump went on to say, "Today we remember and honor the victims of Soleimani's many atrocities, and we take comfort in knowing that his reign of terror is over." I agree with that. He then said that he had been perpetrating acts of terror to destabilize the Middle East for at least 20 years. That's also true. What the United States did yesterday should have been done long ago. Trump's also right about that. A lot of lives would have been saved. He's also right about that. You'd never know it talking to Nancy Pelosi, though, or the Dumbocrats. Anyway, then Trump says just recently, Soleimani led the brutal repression of protesters in Iran, where more than 1,000 innocent civilians were tortured and killed by their own government. That is also true, folks. In fact, I'm going to add something to this. And I encourage you not to take my word for it, but get off your own butt and verify it yourself. Iran has been murdering a lot more of its opponents than they admit. They have killed so many people in the last couple of months that they have actually been stealing their bodies out of the morgues over there to reduce the official death count. Boy, isn't that government by, for, and of the people? Well, in Iran's view, it is, the Ayatollahs. Remember, folks, anytime somebody goes on about Ayatollahs and how great they are, hit them with this one basic question. Ayatollahs, according to people who believe in them, are sin-free. They're sinless. Jesus would be proud, folks. So here's a human being, an Ayatollah, who is supposed to be free of sin. Really? Boy, what a special human. And there's roughly 100 of them that are running Iran and its people into the ground, murdering more people than the Shah of Iran ever did. But let's not talk about facts here, right? And the Shah was not a saint. It was wrong, for the record, for the U.S. to do what they did by putting him in power via a CIA coup. And I know all about that because I have the CIA files, had them for years. It was a disgraceful thing the USA did, but it was done. All right, so then Trump says, we took action last night to stop a war. Oh, about the point about the Ayatollahs, ask him how any human can never sin. The answers get very interesting to that question because it's BS. All right, anyway, back to what Trump said. He said, we took action last night to stop a war. We did not take action to start a war. That's true. Targeted killings, which is what they're called, are not designed to start wars as a rule. And we'll come back to that and prove it historically. Then Trump says, I have deep respect for the Iranian people. They are a remarkable people with an incredible heritage and unlimited potential. We do not seek regime change. However, the Iranian regime's aggression in the region, including the use of proxy fighters to destabilize its neighbors, must end, and it must end now. Okay, Trump is right. He's not the first leader to say it. He's also not the first leader to say we will protect Americans anywhere in the world, and so on. Obama said it, Bush has said it. It's been American doctrine basically since day one, for lack of a better term, at least in everybody's lifetime who is probably listening to this broadcast. So anyway, to skip through Trump's remarks, basically, let's talk about what are targeted killings now and why this was done. And we will now expose what has been more BS from the media about this. I have read what CNN has said, ABC, NBC, MSNBC, all of them, and most of the coverage, about 92% of it, from my preliminary analysis, indicates that they just don't bother with the truth and they don't provide important context. And when they're not lying, they're just so ignorant of basic history. Let me prove it. You see, folks, the term targeted killings refers to the practice of targeting a specific individual for elimination. The definition is obvious. As a rule, targeted killings take place outside normal judicial frameworks. The street term for this is a hit, as countless Hollywood movies have shown. Now, unquestionably, the world's most famous country, known for making a point to use targeted killings to eliminate terrorists, security, and literally existential threats, is the Jewish state of Israel. And yes, Israel is a Jewish state. It is the only home for the Jewish people. Get over it, Jew haters. Israel's Mossad, universally viewed as the most powerful intelligence service on the planet, made a point to bring the entire issue of targeted killings into the public eye when they unleashed a very visible campaign dubbed Operation Wrath of God shortly after the murder of Israeli athletes by Yasser Arafat's Black September terrorist organization at the 1972 Olympics in Munich, Germany. Now, briefly, for those young people who don't know anything about this history, and most don't, briefly, after the Israelis were killed, now these are the Israeli athletes at the 1972 Munich Olympics in Munich, Germany, 3 of the Black September terrorists were captured by German authorities. Months later, a phony hijacking was arranged in a secret deal between Germany's then Chancellor Willy Brandt, or Willy Brandt, as they say in the West, and Arafat to free them, plus pay as much as $8 million for the privilege. In exchange, Arafat promised never to directly attack Germany again. In other words, he blackmailed them. Pay me or you die. Pathetically, other European countries played this same double game. Out of one side of their mouth, they would condemn terrorism, swear they would never cave in nor capitulate. You don't negotiate with terrorists, right? That's what they would say. Then secretly, they do exactly the opposite. Italy and France, for example, and Germany, to cite just 2 other nation examples, would often free captured terrorists before Israel and other parties could come collect them. This is historic fact. Look it up. In the case of Germany, then Israeli Prime Minister Golda Meir was understandably outraged when she learned of the betrayal by West Germany's government. This development further cemented her resolve to hunt down Black September members and other terrorists, and then make a point to do it in very visible, spectacular fashions, so that a message would be sent to Arafat and his ilk. Israel then proceeded to do exactly this. Dozens were killed, and by doing so, countless lives were saved. Now, one modern myth, again, from the liberal media, is that targeted killings are not legal. This is nonsense. They've always been legal. The United States, Israel, and many other nations have always had policies where they will hunt down and kill individuals or groups who are trying to harm or destroy them. The world saw this in the 1970s when Palestinian terrorist groups were carrying out attacks in collaboration with left-wing anarchist groups such as the Baader Meinhof gang. These members were hunted down by German police after Israel busted them for selling out to Arafat and helping stage a fake hijacking via Lufthansa Airlines. They would go on to create, Germany would, one of the world's most formidable counter-terrorism forces. Germany let Israel come in and train their officials after the massacre at Munich. This is a key reason, in fact, the key reason, that today Germany's GSG 9 unit is literally one of the best today. You'd never know they ever had Keystone Cops or no counterterrorism unit when the 1972 massacre went down. If that event went down today, the Germans would make short business, go Israeli on the terrorists, and none of what happened later would have been possible. So, what was the reaction when Trump had 2 terrorists killed? Well, let's review that because it's very interesting. We'll start with it and then come back after this commercial break. But briefly, the first reactions, of course, were from terrorists. And because the media loves to quote terrorists and look at their Facebook channels and or pages and look at Twitter, and, you know, they've got PR offices. Hamas has a PR office for a long time. Even Al-Qaeda did. We live in a very twisted world. Why are we giving any of these guys any attention? They should be blocked from posting anything. You don't spread hatred. But the technology companies empower them to do that. All right, so we're going to cover the terrorist reactions, go through this again, and we'll be back after this commercial break.
Audience, if you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
Join Patty Conklin and Healing Within Radio each week. More than entertainment, Healing Within offers educational, useful tools for everyday life. Listen for help overcoming fear, anxiety, and depression. Patty knows about eliminating cancer, MS, dementia, Parkinson's, and a host of illnesses that we face every day. Life can be good. Life is good. All you need are simple tools to start changing your life. Start right now by visiting pattyconklin.com, PATTICONKLIN. No matter where you are in the world, you can work with Patty through Skype, phone, or in person, visiting one of her retreats in Georgia. Visit pattyconklin.com today or call our offices at 404-474-0086. That's pattyconklin.com or call 404-474-0086.
Coming soon to the X Zone Broadcast Network is A Different Perspective with me, Kevin Randall, as your host. We'll be taking a close look at what is happening in the world of UFOs today with side trips into the paranormal. Guests will range from those who are household names to those who have a different perspective on a variety of topics. No topic will be taboo, but there will be tough questions asked as we all search for the truth about UFOs, the paranormal, and those things that excite us. Sometimes we'll agree with a guest and sometimes we won't, but we'll try to keep the program topical. For those of you who would like to read, be sure to visit www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com and remember to listen to the other fine programs on the X Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net.
Welcome back to the third segment here on Kal's Corner Radio Show on the X Zone Broadcast Network. My name is Kal Korff and I'm your host. The executive producer of the show is Rob McConnell. Now, we were starting to talk about the reaction to Trump's targeted killing of 2 terrorists. We'll prove in a little bit here that it was really 3 he was aiming for. He missed the 3rd one. Most people don't know that. We'll come back to that in a moment. But let's talk about the reactions. Now, when news broke that Iran's top terrorist was killed, reactions by the other terrorist groups was swift and, of course, wholly predictable, literally in keeping with their hate-driven ideology. In other words, there were no exceptions. Nobody said, that was a good thing to do, Trump. No, it was universal condemnation by the jihadis, as if we care about their opinion. The moment we bother to interview them or feature them on, some whatever show in the West, we give them a form of legitimacy they don't deserve, folks. Terrorists deserve to be killed. That's it. That's the way you handle them. That's how you eliminate terrorism. You eliminate the causes of terrorism, and then if that doesn't work, you must eliminate those who carry out acts of terror. You solve the problem that way. So Hamas, which is today the illegitimate government of Gaza, they seized Gaza after murdering more than 600 Palestinian National Authority personnel. But of course, you wouldn't know that if you read about their quotes nowadays. They forced their dictator, the Palestinian National Authority dictator, Mahmoud Abbas, to flee the West Bank. And he remains holed up there today, is still under threat of assassination. He's 84 years old, and he's in the 15th year of his original 4-year term in office. He won't allow anybody to run against him. He's a dictator. So while the PNA has remained largely silent about Suleimani's killing, they preferred not to say anything rather than, say, again, condemn it one way or another. They're playing politics. Both Hamas and their fellow terrorist homeboy, the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, PIJ for short, they not only openly condemned it, they also blamed Israel for what happened in addition to Trump. In other words, in the minds of these haters, no matter what goes on in the world, if it's bad, it's Israel's fault. The Jews are behind it. It's a Jewish conspiracy because they control the world, right? No, they don't. But anyway, let's get back to reality. So not only did they try to pin the guilt on Israel, and Israel was not involved in this, folks, one expects nothing less from Jew-hating killers who argue that Israel has no right to exist. They also made a point to attend Soleimani's funeral. Hamas even set up an official mourning tent in Gaza. Hamas's brazen support for Iran has now put it in a potentially precarious position. And that's great, folks, because by openly and increasingly aligning itself with Iran, which is a Shia Muslim country, it now runs the risk of backlash from Saudi Arabia, also known as Saudi Wahhabia, and Egypt. Saudi Arabia and Iran, they're ideological and religious enemies. They've engaged in a proxy war across the Middle East. They're fighting it out in countries such as Yemen. So Egypt has no real love for Hamas either. Hamas is the military wing of the Muslim Brotherhood. Again, most people don't know that. I'm going to repeat it. Hamas is the military wing of the Muslim Brotherhood. Military wings are not peaceful by nature. They're military. They're capable, and their job is to kill you for whatever reason they think they need to. Doesn't make it right. So the official doctrine of Hamas, the Muslim Brotherhood, Al-Qaeda, the Islamic State, known as ISIS, even though it's really IS, even Iran itself, is that Jews are, quote, this is their words, you can look it up, the sons of apes and pigs, unquote. Obviously, science and evolution don't mean anything to jihadis, okay? They're not grounded in reality. And most Muslims in the world are Sunnis, led by Saudi Arabia, for better or for worse, while Iran is the Shia nation in the world. While most Muslims in neighboring Iraq are also Shia, Iran is still the top country for Shias. Now, Shia and Sunni Muslims, and again, you can look this up. Rachel Maddow doesn't really talk about it. The liberals don't. These people, these two groups of Islam, Shia and Sunni, they have been gleefully, and I mean happily, killing each other for more than 1,400 years, all in the name of God, quote unquote, because both of them claim to be, quote, the one true path, unquote, in Islam. The other side automatically is considered to be a heretic. They have to be eliminated. So what's going on is 1,400 years ago, after Muhammad died, nobody could agree on who his successor would be. So one group murdered his Jewish wife, Aisha, took over. Well, the people who were enjoying that power had a problem with that. So they've been killing each other since then. The epitome is Saudi Arabia and Iran. One of their battlegrounds is Yemen. They're both fighting for control over it. It is not as simple as the Saudis are the good guys and the Iranians are the bad guys. No, that's right-wing nonsense. The other side of the spectrum, that's the problem. No, both sides are bad because both sides would kill everyone in the West if they could get away with it. The only reason the Wahhabis side with the West, and bin Laden was a Wahhabi, he wasn't exactly pro-West, is because their enemy is Iran. And right now, Iran is an enemy of the U.S. And you know the expression, folks, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. If Saudi Arabia wasn't a strategic ally, we didn't want their oil, we wouldn't care. Let's be blunt. We cut a deal during World War II with Roosevelt. He went over there, kissed, you know what? We got the oil. We needed oil to fight a war. The British worked Iran, convinced Eisenhower to stage a coup by hyping a non-existent threat from Russia. Iran was not going to go under communism or socialism. That was nonsense. The British were upset that BP oil was nationalized under Mossadegh in Iran. They wanted to remove him. They wanted the oil. Eisenhower said no. They faked intelligence to fool Eisenhower. The Dulles brothers did. Remember the Dulles brothers? They were behind the Bay of Pigs genius plan that Kennedy ordered terminated while it was being executed. He then fired both those clowns. That's what happened. Let's be blunt. It was wrong what the U.S. did. That doesn't excuse, however, what Iran does today, and it doesn't excuse nor make right the rise of Ayatollah Khomeini and the brutality of radical Islam today since the Shah fell in the Islamic so-called revolution. At first, they didn't force women to cover themselves. They didn't murder gays. But once they seized power, they began doing that. 95% of the Jews left Iran. The only Jews there now are ones who either can't leave or they're token Jews just for cosmetic purposes. As long as they shut up and don't really say what's on their mind, they're allowed to live. That's the conditions they exist in under there. Now, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and I'll be honest, the UAE is my favorite country in the Middle East that is Muslim. Israel's my favorite country overall. The United Arab Emirates and other Muslim countries, they're now starting to openly declare their support for Israel. And I know that because the last time I was there, and I remind fans of the show or people who listen to Rob's broadcasts, Kal's Corner was relaunched from the United Arab Emirates. I met the people who run the government and paper there, and I was negotiating actually to start doing journalism from the main paper there, owned by the Emir. We didn't come to a final agreement. I'm actually glad about that. Unfortunately, Communist China had just bought a large stake in the paper, and it was made very clear to me that certain reporting was not going to be allowed. And as a journalist, I have a problem with that. Also, I didn't really want to live under a dictatorship if I could avoid it. I understand that there's kind of two faces to the UAE. There is the public persona that it likes to project for tourists and all that, because they love the money. But then there's also the real reality under it, in that you really can't do real journalism there or dare criticize the royal family because it can get you killed. Let's be blunt. It's a dictatorship. So, back to Hamas. The problem Hamas now faces is that it has increasingly turned itself aligning with Iran. Okay? So, Hamas must either turn to Iran or stop being a terrorist group, since everything from its rocket attacks to years ago the suicide bombings have only isolated Hamas further. Now, this division is so deep among the Palestinians, and it has been ever since the coup, where they almost murdered Abbas. The Palestinians can't even form a simple unity government. They've always outright lied when they've promised to, have a unity government. In truth, with Abbas being 84 years old now and in poor health, Hamas is simply biding its time, as it did when it was waiting for Yasser Arafat to die. After his death, Hamas moved in and ousted the PNA. Abbas had to seek shelter in the West Bank, where he's been holed up ever since. And this is what they've done. And what Hamas is trying to do is secure everything they need from Iran to eventually become a de facto government for all Palestinians. Iran would love that. So Iran has been increasingly supplying Hamas with more precision guided weapons so that they can kill more Jews. Now, Israel, very aware of what's going on, they've never had a stronger position now to deal with Hamas than they do now, because neither Iran, the terrorist group it controls, Hezbollah, nor Hamas can count on key members of the Muslim world anymore to automatically rush to their defense. Even most Shias in Iraq, they don't want to be put under the rule of Iran's Ayatollahs, and most people don't know that. Now, we're going to come back in the fourth and final segment and destroy the myth that Trump did this to wag the dog. Again, it's not true.
If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide. They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by Ellie Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world, interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Memorable dynamic presentations are a not-so-secret weapon in the business world. Do you have a powerful message that must be shared, but you haven't found a way to deliver that message? Do you want to be known as a top public speaker who gets amazing results? Are you ready to create and deliver your powerful message? Thomas Hides can help you create and deliver your speech to get the results you desire. Visit iconquality.com.
Did you expect your business to flourish, but instead it plateaued or didn't get off the ground yet? Would you like to achieve massive goals and discover new sources of income within your business? When you're ready to experience that type of success with fast results, Cindy Hendricks is the business coach for you. Her work with entrepreneurs and business owners has been life-changing. To get you and your business where you want to be, go to imaginemoresuccess.com.
Has the fear of public speaking stalled your business or personal life? What would you give to develop and maintain supreme confidence? Have an invaluable private program to always perform at your best. Imagine how you would feel. You can have all that and so much more today with Thomas Hides' life-changing course called Number One Fear Unleashed. Visit numberonefear.com and be liberated from your fear of public speaking.
Welcome back to the fourth and final segment here on Kal's Corner Radio on the X Zone Broadcast Network. Once again, my name is Kal Korff. I am your host, and the executive producer of the show is, of course, Rob McConnell. Now, at the end of the last segment, we talked about wag the dog. Let's talk about that. Destroy that lie, because it is a lie, and let's settle this once and for all. Separate, again, fact from the fiction. Wag the dog. Well, what does that mean? Well, we can thank President Bill Clinton for setting this precedent, okay? This perception precedent. Ironically, when Clinton was president, he ordered a missile strike to kill bin Laden, he said, during a key moment in the aftermath of his affair with Monica Lewinsky. Clinton was impeached for lying under oath. He was attacked by his critics and some members of the media for, quote, creating a distraction, unquote, to take attention away from his problems. Now, fast forward now to Donald Trump, and the media has gone far more ballistic this time. I have never turned up any evidence that was credible that I know of that Bill Clinton launched military strikes to divert focus on a scandal. Many have argued that Trump has done this. But I'll tell you, I looked at this issue, okay? I had access to many intelligence files. There is no credible evidence I know of that Clinton did it. Instead, he ended up firing the missiles too late. Pakistan tipped off bin Laden. They left. And Clinton made the stupid mistake of trusting Pakistan, okay? We know better. We've known better for years. It took years to wake up. It took bin Laden's assassination to officially make the formal ties with Pakistan cut to where Trump today doesn't really give him any military aid compared to what used to be done. So to make a long story short, let me now prove to you what really happened. There was no wag the dog. It's not true. Instead, this is what happened. CIA Director Gina Haspel, she's universally regarded, top analyst, especially in intelligence circles. She is not only a top expert, she's not just some bureaucratic flunky that was appointed. This woman is outright ruthless in the sense that she will do what it takes to get the right things done. She always builds her case where possible with irrefutable facts. Now, facts are supposed to be irrefutable, but in today's world of fake news and alternative facts, I want to clarify that point. It's stupid when the White House has a spokesman saying alternative facts, no such thing, hello. But anyway, regarding the killing of Soleimani, Haspel forcefully argued to anyone who would listen, who mattered, that would include President Trump, that the risk of terminating him and a few key Iranian personnel who killed many Americans was worth taking. Her analysis was so specific that she predicted there would be a few military strikes against U.S. assets and personnel, but that Iran would be dealt a very serious blow, since this terrorist was irreplaceable. It's true. So as of this broadcast, she's right. Soleimani's successor, who was second in command under him, is not in the same league he was. He can't just step in as if nothing happened. Instead, now more than ever, he and many Iranians will be under even more surveillance as nations look to worry over sleeper cell attacks and rogue individuals who feel that it is their duty, quote unquote, to kill innocent people or anyone in response to Soleimani's elimination. Now, Trump did not order his killing solely because of impeachment concerns. The truth is, again, not this simple. Instead, he was told by Republican senators, this is not a secret, folks, that while he was seeking yet their support through what he's going to, they also used the opportunity to say, you know, we're unhappy that this guy and others like him haven't been killed yet. Because Trump had made the decision very early after he took the oath of office. He went public with this, where he said and gave local commanders in the field who control drones more freedom than Barack Obama did to hunt down and kill terrorists, including Soleimani. This is especially true where concerned, again, using drones. Now, while Obama oversaw drone strike hands-on and signed off on every targeted killing, Trump gave more discretion and leeway to his field forces. When intelligence came in ensuring that Soleimani could be killed, the decision was made to do it. This is because Soleimani was truly plotting to murder more Americans. In fact, he held his meetings to do it across from the U.S. compound, where his conversations were picked up by the National Security Agency. Folks, the NSA eavesdrops. That's what they do. They have over twice the budget of the CIA. They don't get all the fancy attention the CIA does, but they're even more ruthless at times than the CIA can be. In other words, to kind of use an analogy here, what you had was a perfect storm. Trump not only ordered the killing of Iran's top terrorist, he had been on a hit list for over a decade, 10 years, folks. He also approved killing him, the most powerful militia leader in Iraq, who was this guy's puppet, his local homeboy. He approved killing him 7 months ago. Both died in that dual missile strike from the drones. So what most people do not know, and destroys the argument this was a wag the dog, is that there was a third target that night who was hunted down in Yemen. He's an Iranian terrorist named Abdul Reza Shalai. I'll spell his name so you can Google him and learn something. Abdul, Abdul, first name. Reza, R-E-Z-A, Persian name. Shalai, S-H-A-H-L-A-I. Type his name in, since there's more than one people on the planet with this name. Type his name, terrorist, Iran. By the time Google finds the matches, you'll see plenty about him. He's their bagman. He pays to kill people. He brings tons of money and resources, and people die. He is a key bagman for Iran. He was going to be eliminated that night too, but they didn't get him. They missed him in the drone strike. So instead of it being a 1-2-3 punch, it was a 1-2. But it was justified. Now, there is, of course, a lie that Iran said right out the gate after they shot down the Ukrainian airline. Iran reported via its Ayatollah-controlled censored media that it has asked aircraft manufacturer Boeing, they made the airliner that they shot down, to assist, quote unquote, in, quote, investigating what happened to the downed civilian airplane that they now, again, admitted, but first lied and said they didn't shoot down. Iran said that they asked Boeing for help. Well, as people who know me know, I worked at Boeing. I've got plenty of good old boys still there, friends. So I called Boeing and I said, this is what Iran is saying. Here's a quote. Is it true? Here's what Boeing told me, and I quoted them. It was one simple phone call, folks. The mainstream media has no excuse. They said, quote, we are cooperating with the NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board. That's the normal process. That's it. They're not helping Iran. Iran can beg them for all the help they want. Boeing has told them from day one, first of all, they weren't asked. We go through the NTSB. They're like the FBI for air crashes. Everybody goes through them. When Iran took the black boxes and wouldn't turn them over, they're supposed to follow NTSB protocols, or they can lose their aviation license so that nobody will land planes there. That's the reality here. So Iran shot down the Ukrainian plane by accident, they're claiming, using 2 Russian-made missiles. Now, let's be honest, and we're not going to be politically correct. One doesn't expect, if they have any brain, that Iran is going to tell the truth overall. This is a nation which has no real freedom of press nor free speech. It is no real democracy. It murders homosexuals, men and women who are gay. It forces women to cover themselves. It kills innocent people with impunity as a matter of official policy, justified, quote unquote, in the supposed, quote, name of God, unquote. The too long tolerated proverbial status quo. Folks, it can't continue. It is a great thing, in this case, that all sides, thanks in no small part to secret meetings facilitated by the Swiss, both the US and Iran met through Swiss representatives, and both sides stood down. An open, massive war hasn't happened. That is officially, but that doesn't mean in reality. For as long as just enough people wrongly think that it is just fine to murder innocent people for the purposes of political or social change. Again, this is the very definition of terrorism that is universally accepted. Any chances of either reasonably containing or even significantly defeating terrorism is not possible. The root cause of terrorism is hatred. Until said hatred is eliminated, obviously, many more people are going to die. That's all I have to say for tonight. We'll be back next week with another episode of Cal's Corner. Thanks for joining me.